Welcome to the new Star of the Seas. Want to learn all about this new ship? Stay tuned and we'll tell you all the details.
Welcome to Travel Talk, where our expert magical memory planners discuss ways you can have fun, memorable, and stress-free family vacations.
Well, welcome to another episode of Travel Talk. Today, I am so excited to talk about Star of the Seas. This is Royal Caribbean's newest ship. The tagline is the world's largest cruise ship. I don't know if it'll stay that way for long, but the Star of the Seas is a brand new Icon class ship. So it is slightly larger than its sister ship, the Icon of the Seas. And there's another one coming soon. I'll talk about that at the end. But the Star of the Seas is currently the world's largest cruise ship. And we got to spend 3 nights on a preview cruise getting to learn all about the ship. We ran to all the spaces and we had a fantastic time. And I can't wait to show you and tell you a little bit about this ship and why it is absolutely amazing. So we're going to start with a few surprises. There was 3 things that really surprised me about this ship. First of all was just how incredibly beautiful it was. It had so much vibrant color. There's a Central Park area, which is similar to some of the other Icon class and Oasis class ships, but this one had like shutters on all the windows looking into Central Park. It was just stunning. It was beautiful. The Surfside area was bright and colorful. Even the chill area on the ship was like green and blue, and with the bars having beautiful colors. I mean, it was bright and vibrant. And the ship has an enormous amount of art. A lot of the elevator lobbies are very large. There's like banks of 9 elevators at the front and back of the ship, forward and aft. And so there was beautiful artwork in a lot of these areas as well. The next thing that really surprised me was the amount of technology on the ship. So the first thing that hit us was as soon as we got on the ship, of course, the first place we're going to go is the Windjammer and get something to eat, and went to the elevators for that. And there's no buttons inside the elevators. So outside the elevators in these larger elevator banks, as I said, there's a panel. You walk up, you hit what floor you want to go to, and stay tuned because it'll tell you which elevator to go in. So the elevators are labeled by letter. And so it'll say go to elevator I or go to elevator A. So you go to that elevator. Once you're inside, it'll take you to the floor that you need to go. So this is a fantastic technological advancement because with a ship this large, with this many passengers, there could be over 7,000 guests plus staff. You don't want like 7 elevators all that are going to the 4th floor. Like you might as well put all those people together and have that elevator stop on deck 4 and another elevator head right up to deck 15. So very efficient. It takes a little getting used to, but the staff is of course there to help, and it's great. It's a great technological advancement. The other thing that was really cool was in the rooms. So you always have like some kind of panel that'll give you the ability to adjust your thermostat. This one, not only could you adjust your thermostat, you could put all the lights on, all the lights dim, or all the lights off with just one touch, which is great, especially when you have kids and they put things on. You're like, I don't even know how you turn that light on. Where's the button for that? The other thing is it had presets. So you could get up in the morning and hit morning, and all the presets will go to morning. This includes the blinds. We had an infinite balcony. So the blinds, the infinite balcony, the lighting, everything was adjusted for morning. There's a movie setting, there's an evening setting, and a sleep setting. So that was great. We came back to our room at night, and once we were all ready for bed, I went over, hit sleep, and the room was ready to go. So that was awesome. There's also a lot of touchless options around the ship. So we noticed several places, like in the Windjammer, where you go to get your coffee. There's a dispenser for coffee, hot water, decaf, etc. And there was a touchless option. You just hold your finger in front of the button, and it dispenses your coffee and various things that they had at that choice. There was also a lot of the bathroom doors in the public spaces. There was a spot, a little icon that just looks like your hand waving. You wave your hand in front of it, the door opens. So this is great. After you wash your hands in the bathroom, you come out, you wave your hand, and the door opens. You don't have to touch it on your way out. A lot of the doors had this touchless option as well. So a lot of technology on the ship that surprised me. Again, a little bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's great. The other thing is the trip and our wholesaling was incredibly smooth. This area, this size of ship with the way they designed it was probably the calmest ship I have been on. And I have sailed out of Port Canaveral a lot of times, probably 15 or more. And I usually feel a little boat rocking the first night. I usually let people know not to panic. The whole trip isn't going to be like that, but there is some boat rocking coming out of Port Canaveral as you head out from the coastline into either the Bahamas area or down into the Caribbean. We felt nothing. I could not believe how smooth this ship is. It's just really outstanding. So the other thing about this trip is I brought my son and he's 16. And so it was his first travel agent trip and his first work trip. So this was really fun. So I brought him with me and it gave me the opportunity to see and share what are some of our top wins for teens. And I know planning vacations with teenagers in mind can be really challenging because teenagers are kind of their own breed and you want to make sure you have fun stuff for them and that they're going to have fun too. And if your teenagers are not having fun, it can kind of put a damper on the fun for everyone. They can get a little cranky. So the top wins for teens, he said one of the first ones was Crown's Edge. So this is a really cool experience. There's a huge anchor, crown and anchor, which is the Royal Caribbean logo on the side of the ship. And it's this little tiny zip line. You walk on a few like a ropes course on a few platforms way up high in a harness. You walk out on a plank, you stand there, the plank falls, and then you zip line around the crown and anchor back onto the platform. So this is a really fun experience. It is complimentary. It's included in your cruise. You just need to make sure you register for it, and you can do that in the app. So keep an eye out for that. The times will fill up for that. It's super popular. Another really cool thing that was teen approved is Thrill Island. So, I mean, you have a cruise and you have a water park. So, Category 6 water park that is in Thrill Island has 6 water slides, really fun water slides for teens and kids in general. But the other thing that's really cool about Thrill Island is it is that more elevated, adventurous type space. So, it attracts the older kids and those with an adventurous spirit versus other ships might have one kind of play area where everybody's kind of interacting together. This ship has Surfside, which we're going to talk about later, and that has an area that's geared toward younger children. And so the teens and anybody who's adventurous can hang out in Thrill Island, and it's kind of all geared for their age group. So that was really cool feature of this ship, a new neighborhood that is on the Icon class ships and really, really fun for him. The other thing is mini golf, which I have to point out because most of the cruise ships have mini golf, and we've played it many a times. This is a 9-hole mini golf course. I typically find myself a little on the board side. They're pretty flat and simple. This mini golf we played multiple times, trying to get better at it. It is challenging. I think it just has all these like obstacles that you have to get through. It has a really fun theme and it was really, really challenging. So really elevated mini golf. Again, the teens won't be bored here. The little ones will still have fun to play mini golf. They always do. But the teens will be like, this is fun. I could try this a couple of times. So really great for the teens. That was a big win for them. And then the other thing that he pointed out is his pickleball court. He said this is one of his favorite sports courts on any of the cruise ships. It was on its own deck, so you didn't have a ton of people just like standing and watching or walking by. Again, because it was on his own deck, a little elevated, had a nice breeze, and it was completely enclosed with some netting, so he didn't run into the issues with the balls going out of the sports court, which can be problematic. So we played in a little pickleball tournament, really loved being up there, went up there in the evenings and played basketball most nights as well. So got a good grade for the sports court. And of course, with any teen, it's all about the food, particularly my boys, between the ice cream, which I'll say this ship has like the soft serve ice cream sprinkles in like 3 or 4 different locations. So it's never too far away. You don't have to head to one location for that. The amount of desserts and everything in the Windjammer, the food in the Windjammer, the food in the dining room, so many complimentary options. Totally teen approved on the food front for him. He was super happy, which takes me into food. Oh, transition there. I wanted to talk about some of the must-try foods that were on the Star of the Seas because it has some things that other ships don't have. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Aquadome Market. So one of the things they did with the Icon class, and they did this with the other ship, and you can hear more about this as well on our other podcast that we did about the Icon of the Seas that started sailing last year or the year before. So they have this Aquadome market. So they moved the aqua theater that was on the back of the ship on Oasis class to the front of the ship. The back of the ship in that space is now Surfside, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And now the aqua theater is on the front of the ship, which is a gorgeous space. Not only is it where they have the aqua shows, but it's a great place to sit in the day. They have an overlook bar. They have these aqua pods, which are like these great areas to sit in. So much about the aquadome. I can't even talk about it. But anyway, the market. Let's talk about food. So right outside that area, there's a market that has like 5 different food venues. They are kind of like a quick service. You go up, they make it for you fresh. They have a little assembly line of a few choices you can make within that kind of restaurant or that option. It is complimentary, it's included in your cruise fare, and it is open until midnight. So this is a perfect late night snack place. Of course, Sorrento's is always a favorite with pizza down in the promenade, but this one is open till midnight. So this is a great place to go get an evening snack. So they had 5 different kind of venues. One was dessert. I'll talk about that next. But they had 4 savory choices. They had a Thai, which had like noodles and those types of dishes. There was a barbecue and mac and cheese option, where you could have a sandwich or a mac and cheese bowl with barbecue, brisket, and pulled pork. There was my favorite, feta, which was Mediterranean, which was pitas or salads with chicken or pork, and then all those Mediterranean toppings, tzatziki, hummus, feta cheese, and all kinds of yummy things. You could kind of make it as a wrap or a salad. And then the last one was like Latin American with empanadas and other Latin flavors. So great place to go get a quick snack in the evening. Really loved it. And of course, heading back to our my first comment was the dessert option up there is the creperie. And oh my goodness, were those crepes delicious. We may have had them on more than one occasion. So chocolate and raspberry and bananas and caramel. I can't even remember everything, but really, really delicious. And again, they're open till midnight, so perfect for a late night dessert. Really, really awesome. Another favorite on the ship, which they do have on other ships. This is kind of a new concept. They have it on multiple ships. It is on this ship as well. Of course, this is the first time my teen saw this restaurant, so he was super excited about it. But that is El Loco Fresh. This is your Mexican. Again, another included option. Usually it's open during the day. So say like 11:30 to 5 or something in that time frame. Lunch through before dinner. This has some burritos and things made, but then it really has like a buffet option of you got tortillas and then you got various kinds of meats, rice and beans, ground beef, uh, like pork, carnitas, chicken, cut up steak. And then they have bowls of chips, so you can make it like a nachos. And then they have an entire toppings bar. So you got your sour cream, your pico de gallo, your salsa, your guacamole, your jalapenos. There's various kinds of cheese, from queso to shredded cheese, lettuce. You could make it a lettuce bowl, go through the toppings bar first and get your lettuce and all that, and then put your meat on the top, make it like a taco bowl. Oh my gosh. You could be here every day. So El Loco Fresh is great, complimentary, available. I'll say it's a lunch option because that best describes it. Okay, so let's transition out of food and transition into our younger cruisers. So let's talk about our top wins for kids, say 12 and under. So Royal Caribbean has a great adventure ocean program. They have this on all of their ships. They have lots of space for the kids, great leaders that manage these and all of that. So like that, I will say they have a great adventure ocean program on Star of the Seas. It's a pretty big space and there's dedicated spaces for the younger cruisers. So the younger kids are separated out. There's an area for under 3 that is not included in your fare, but you can do some babysitting there if you reserve that. And then the 3 through 12, the younger kids, like 3 to 5, are kind of separated off and stuff. But then the older kids are kind of put together or allowed to be together in various spaces. So awesome adventure ocean program. The other thing that they have, and I believe this is the only ship they have it, and I think it is going to be rolled out into other ships in the future, but that is the kid tracker option. So this is a paid option. The pricing on this is going to probably change over time, but currently it is one price for your entire cruise. And I believe it's $15 per child. That could change. So I don't want to commit to that. But the point is that it's one price for the entire length of your sailing. It's a wearable tracker. And the people that have used it on the Star have been saying that it is fantastic. They were able to find their family and their child like in the Windjammer, like which table they were sitting at. So this is just a really great option if you have kids in the 3 to 12 space. That is the age group that can use them at this time. There were questions about if we could get the kid trackers for our spouses, and the answer is currently no. And you cannot get it on for your teens either. Again, this could change. It is a pilot program. This time it is for the 3 to 12s. But this is a great option for your kids. So you can kind of know where they are and what they're up to, especially as they get in maybe the 9, 10, 11, 12 age range where you're giving them a little more freedom, but you kind of still want to know where they are. So that's a great, great feature of this ship. Surfside, I promise to get here, is an amazing space for the 3 to 12-year-olds. Surfside is open to everyone. It is not age specific, but it is geared toward that age group. It is bright and it is colorful. There are chairs and seating. There is a carousel, complimentary. They can ride it as often as they want. There is a water slide. There is a dry slide. You can go from up in from the second store, like the deck above Surfside, and slide into Surfside on a dry slide with your clothes on. There is a special eatery in there, another small buffet. Actually, there's two of them, a grab and go kind of place, a lot of kid-friendly food. But I did notice that in the eatery that is like the buffet, it is on the small side. It's just for kind of this space. You wouldn't necessarily go there across the whole ship. But when you're there, if you want something to eat, there's something there. Tons of kid-friendly choices. This is probably the most kid-centric area. But there were definitely some adult choices on there too. So you can eat there with your kids and not be like, oh my gosh, I have to eat chicken fingers. Unless you want to, there's no judgment. So just a fun, colorful space. The arcade is there. There is a splash pad. There's like a dump and play kind of water area. Just so great for the little kids. And again, now they're not going to be overrun by some maybe the more adventurous kids that are going to be up in Thrill Island. So great to separate all these areas out and give everybody kind of their own dedicated space. So probably the thing you want to hear the most about this trip is that you are confirmed. You're heading out on the Star of the Seas, and we can make that happen. So if you're looking for the Star of the Seas at this time, it is doing 7-night Eastern or Western Caribbean sailings out of Port Canaveral. There is an icon ship, which is very similar. In comparing notes on them, aside from the kid tracker and the choices of the restaurants in the Aquadome market, they have different choices there. Most of the rest of the ship is extremely similar. So that is another good option if the dates and times don't work for you to sail on the Star. And there's another Icon class ship coming. The Legend of the Seas is coming next. And they told us during our sales meeting that it looks like there will eventually be an Icon ship sailing out of Galveston. So I believe there's either 5, I'm going to say 5 total Icon ships being planned and being built. They're not all named and we don't know about all of them yet. So there are more coming, and then they'll have other places where they can leave from. So maybe it's in a drive market for you. It's easy to get to, an easier flight for you, easier drive, more local. So they are coming. Icon class ships are amazing, but I'll have to say Star of the Seas maybe has a special place in my heart. So if you're interested in a cruise vacation, particularly the Star of the Seas, reach out. We would love to help make that happen for you.